To start off with, I don't think I would love anime like I do now without Dragon Ball Z. I wasn't raised on it like a lot of others were, but it's what got me into the medium of anime, and it's basically what locked me into loving it like I do now. I was born in 1999 in the UK, so I didn't have a whole lot of anime stuff growing up. There was Pokemon, of course, because that's the thing that was like crazy during like the early 2000s and whatnot. And we had like the four kids, Shaman King and Naruto on Jetix. If you remember what that is, then here we go. But like, I didn't even know that those were anime at the time. They were just all cartoons to me, and like, I didn't know until much later that they were anime. I was introduced to Dragon Ball Z through like After School Club, and just like the entire Dragon Ball franchise in general, I was introduced to at that time because like all the older kids would play like Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and like 2, and also like Budokai 1, Budokai 2 as well. Basically like all of those mid 2000 Dragon Ball games. And like I remember like seeing Goku and Vegeta for the first time. Like I didn't know what the names were, but seeing like Super Saiyan and like especially Super Saiyan 4, bro, when I saw Super Saiyan 4 as a kid, my mind exploded. Like it's they're all basically anyone ever used that weren't like, you know, Cell, Frieza and like Majin Buu. But like I never remembered all their names and that. Like I didn't know all of those until like way later, because as far as I was concerned, Kid Me, when he saw those like designs for the characters and like all the moves, the Kamehamehas, the transformations on the auras, bro, Kid Me was just I can remember. I remember just looking at the screen and my eyes were just wide. Like I was like, "What is this? Why are they shooting all these massive beams?" Because like I had never seen anything like that before. Like it was just insane to me. Loki, though, I think one of the funniest memories I have associated with like Dragon Ball as a franchise is because when I was younger, right, I thought that Kakarot, which is like Goku's Saiyan name, and then like Goku himself, like I thought they were like two different people. Because I must have like watched a cutscene once, like at After School Club of like GT Vegeta calling Goku Kakarot while he was in like Super Saiyan 4. But then I saw like in another cutscene, like Vegeta calling like regular Goku Goku. I think it must have been like that one time, like they used that dub from the Buu saga where Vegeta doesn't call Goku Goku. He doesn't call him Kakarot. Sorry, he actually calls him Goku. So at that point, like, my brain as a kid rationalized that as like, oh, these are two separate people. And I didn't realize that they were actually the same person until I was like in year 7, where we were doing like this website design thing. And I put Super Saiyan 4 Goku's picture up as Kakarot, because obviously no one had ever told me that this was definitely not that man's name. Well, it is, but it's not. He's not a separate character that's called that. So one of my classmates told me, it's like, why do you have him listed as that? Like, I know that's his name, but no one really calls him that. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And after that, pretty much after being told that, I was like, cool, I guess I don't really know anything about this franchise despite how much I love like what the characters are like. So I basically spent pretty much that entire week just going over like the Dragon Ball wiki, just absorbing all the information. And then like I started watching YouTube videos, and then I eventually got into like watching the anime and whatnot. And that took me so long, because my relationship with Dragon Ball is that I started off with the games, and that I just didn't know hardly anything about it except for, oh, design's cool, shooting beams cool, screaming and punching each other, this is great. Like Kid Me's like ape brain was so activated by this, because it was like the best thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And like after that, I basically like deep dived into like just Dragon Ball as a whole. And then that's where like my love for anime came from, because I didn't even know that you could consider that like an anime. Because like I said, I grew up considering like most anime things are just cartoons, because I didn't know what the difference was. And like from there on, I found like so many other animes. You got like Death Note, and like bro, after Death Note, I got into like Code Geass, and then Code Geass took me into the Gundam franchise because I fell in love with like the mecha genre. And like I wouldn't have like any of my relationship with anime like I do now. I wouldn't be like this 24 going on 25-year-old like super weepy ass guy, bruv, without like Dragon Ball. And we wouldn't have Dragon Ball without Toriyama. And like I was just like affected by Dragon Ball, but there's like so many other stuff that he's made, like Dr. Slump, that's like the manga he created before Dragon Ball, and like so many of like the characters from that manga turn up in Dragon Ball. And then you've got like the art that he did for like Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest, and like, bro, there's so much stuff that this man has made for like, it's like 40 years worth of just career brilliance, like over that. Like there's so much like other stuff that he's made, like even before Dr. Slump and like after Dragon Ball, there's so many things that he's made. And he's like, oh bro, like finding out that he passed at like 3 a.m. before I was going to bed. Like I checked Twitter, well now known as X, but whatever. I checked Twitter before I go to bed, and I see that Geekdom posts that Toriyama passed away and it's not a hoax. And bro, I was up until like 6 a.m, like trying not to cry, just like crazy tweeting, like, because bro, I couldn't believe it. And I'm just like seeing everybody posting like all these tributes and all these arts, and I've been sitting on this entire video idea for almost a week because I didn't know what to say. Like my relationship with his work isn't really like everyone else's. Like there's all these people who grew up with like reading Dr. Slump as a manga or like watching the Dragon Ball anime. Like I didn't have that. I came like so much later, and in a way I feel like such a fraud because like, bro, I thought that Goku and Kakarot were 2 separate characters. Oh my god. But like the memories that I have of just engrossing myself like a child possessed, trying to like learn as much about just the Dragon Ball universe as I can. Because when I found out that there was something that came before Dragon Ball Z, when I found out about original Dragon Ball, oh my god. And then when I found out that the Super Saiyan 4s came from GT, an entirely separate series, bro, you could not keep my eyes away from the computer. I was, every day after school, I was catching up. I was watching every single episode. Like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. I watched everything, every single thing. There was like Dragon Ball Kai that came out a little while after, like, that basically removed all the filler. And I was just like, nah, bun that. I need to know everything. So I went from being like this dumb kid who knew nothing about this franchise other than, yay, Kamehameha, shoot beam, that's great, to like, bro, I locked in. I knew every single thing. Every single thing. And when I found out about this GOAT Toriyama, I was like, oh my god, sir, you are my god. You, like, kid me was just on it. Right? And just the sheer amount of things that he has inspired. Like I said earlier, I grew up like watching like Naruto, and that like Naruto is so inspired from Dragon Ball. Like Naruto is so inspired from Goku, and like so much of the shonen stuff we have now we wouldn't have without him. Because if there's no Dragon Ball, then you don't get stuff like One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, My Hero Academia. Like, bro, even most like Jujutsu Kaisen, and just the fact that it's like about anime in general, is mostly based, like has bases in Dragon Ball and kind of Fist of the North Star as well. We wouldn't have like so much of the anime we do now without Toriyama creating Dragon Ball. And like Dr. Slump as well, because you got like Sonic and Mario, they're both heavily influenced from Dr. Slump. Like Sonic's logo, Mario's entire design comes from Dr. Slump. And you don't have influences like that unless the work you've created is so great and it's so legendary. And that's what Toriyama's work is. And it's just like, I can't believe he's not around no more. Like when Dragon Ball Daima comes out and we're all going to be sitting wherever we are watching it, he's not going to be watching it with us. And that's really depressing. That's oh man. I don't think there's like any person in this world that's created something that I've loved that has affected me like in my life as much as Toriyama and Dragon Ball. Like, he's created so many other things that are just so brilliant, but for me it's like Dragon Ball was that thing. Like, so many of the friends that I made, like back in that time in school, I made because like we all connected over Dragon Ball and like anime stuff. And even now, like, one of the best friends that I have in my life right now, we bonded over playing Dragon Ball games with each other and establishing like a sort of rival dynamic where like we're always trying to outdo one another, like get one over. And that's going to continue into when Sparking Zero comes out, because we've just been on it on every game since. That's the sort of connections that Dragon Ball has made for me. And it's just, he really was that guy. He's always going to be that guy. But I guess in the end, all I can say is thank you, Akira Toriyama. Thank you for just everything that you created. Thank you for the influence you've had on my life, because there's so many moments in my life where if I didn't have like a song like Dragon Soul to keep my head up, I don't know where I'd be. And I wasn't really sure how to express my emotions to this situation, because I'm not good at these sort of things. So I've been sitting on this like entire like thought process for so long, and I need to get it out. It's just kind of the way that I am. I need to express my emotions somehow, otherwise it's going to keep existing in my head. So I'm just going to shove it onto YouTube, and whoever finds it finds it. But that's really like the only way I'm really able to express how I feel about that. I had like a script for this video because my mind was all over the place, and I've deviated from it anyway. But like, all I can say is just thank you for everything you've made. I hope you rest in peace. I hope that heaven is just as beautiful a place as like you showed it to us to be in like Otherworld in Dragon Ball. I hope that it's chill, it's peaceful. I hope that it's way better than the world that we have now. And that's all I can say. Just thank you. Keep your spirit proud. And goodbye.